Mm. I don't mind.
This cargo has been designated for chilled to... creation. Delivery route finalized. This cargo has been...
Order accepted. Thank you.
屌你老味係做乜撚嘢？咁咪做咩嘅？Sure. Is it express? I don't want to do express, man. Unbreakable. Go on, man.
Order accepted. Thank you.
Don't tap left. That I realized how stupid man I was. Yeah. I think I would have been good. Good. Yeah. I was really no thanks to no thanks. No thanks. No thanks. Yeah, she did that improvement. I don't care how it does it, good, toilet, good. You know, it was fun. Was not coming for this person, so I like it. Oh, it's okay. That's what the title is. That's what the title is.
Thanks for...
Oh,
Look at all the stuff you...
Now displaying your current order grade.
That's
you,
pretty...
you feel, you think it's any troll?
Well done.
Oh, my God, real good, good. No, no, no. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I'll do it. But only express. Hold on. Yeah. Express. Let me do this first.
Order accepted. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Always. Yeah, that's just what I do. I got a computer. That's the whole bit. I'm just very, very upset. Yeah. That's what I do. That's a very long way. Very, very, yeah. You know, it's not the hardest thing in the world because of the mountain. It's okay. You're on your own. Yeah.
Nice try.
We got it,
This one's for you.
all the best there.
You? What's the say?
Now displaying your current
Yeah.
order grade.
In fact,
This rain isn't letting up.
Order completed. Well done.
I have a feeling that's not done. Yeah.
This cargo has any heavy...
Yeah, right.
Order accepted. Thank
to. Oh, I see, I see, I got it. Sometimes it's big shit.
We won't ever forget what you've done for us.
Yeah. Highest point, come fly down, no problem. Bro, stop. Why do you speak like that? Your attitude's weird. It's weird. You know, all the 我人咪知住你咁快講呢句，呢個我唔記得佢，我都好熟教，我都好熟教頭，你簡直係垃圾。
Thanks for checking. Let's take a look at those orders. Hardly see any signs of them.
Now displaying your current porter grade.
You better bigger.
Order completed. Well done.
No.
Order accepted. Thank you.
You don't know what to have.
Yeah, exactly that. So he is a nice converted winger and you can put him like good on the right side, being an effort and then giving options to the side and to shots for passes in through the channels. If you look at team map, let's look at this first now. See that is the out between Lloyd and it's where he starts to so isolating fullbacks playing 1v1 and then because he's an effort to play right, he's got the option of going outside and then driving in towards the near post and then he's got options to shoot unfortunately. But he can also then go on the inside of the because he provides that threat on the side. It's the best opposite. It's the thing we should do is drawing in other players. So he should be pulling centre halves. He should be pulling defensive midfielders in to try and double up his triangle. He should be pulling them back whoever's playing wide in your position to try and double up and to keep him quiet. He is a very, very strong runner. He's very dynamic, very explosive. I think one of the things that really makes him who he is as a take-on specialist is just how he is out with the blocks. It gives him a real advantage, and so hopefully, if you can get up to him very quickly, so you can get it up to him before he's heavily covered, then you really allow him to do what he excels at, and that is to be unpredictable, to do whatever he feels at any given time, and that is going to require a lot of his teammates understanding him and reacting that, but hopefully he's going to draw players towards him. He is going to be able to be the first man without conceding possession, and then he's going to make the right decisions. And I think from what I've been watching on Kudus, this is the area that he really needs to improve. It's that final pass, and certainly he needs to improve the amount of goals that he's scoring. That might be a relative thing. He's playing the West Ham side that particularly this last season have struggled, but it definitely doesn't stop him from coming out because you only need to look at the other side of the West Ham team to see a player who's playing like who's doing very well, has better stats, so to speak, in terms of goals and assists. He can certainly improve that side of the game.
You mentioned there West Ham in particular last season. They didn't have the best season, that's public knowledge. But Kudus has had better seasons in the past, right? He's scored 18 goals in the season for Ajax, 14 in the season for West Ham. So some of this could be down to players he's playing with, right?
Yeah, it definitely could. We know there's an extremely talented individual in there, and I think you put him in a better performing team and in a better setup, he is going to raise his level up. There's by no means, he's only 24 goals, there's by no means he's even finished up. So you're looking in the next 2 to 3 seasons to really kick on, and you're going to want to see consistently being a threat to the opposition. You want him to be so hard to stop, particularly one first player, because once you broke that first line, broke past the first player, everything else opens up. Create a degree of chaos and a degree of movement in the opposition, and that's where the rest of the time the team can go to from it. So that you'll see that level of consistency doing it, and as you rightly said, he has shown he can score goals. He's got very strong equipment, and he could also play in different areas. I don't think he can only play out wide, and that brings me quickly, but he has been shown to play in a number 10 past, a better player playing in another league with Ajax, and also generating chances from the secondary area, which we know is strength. A lot of create opportunity.
On that, with Thomas Frank and the way he likes to your analysis is very is there similarities Austin Conkers were in the sense that we saw both goals last season where it was
Now displaying your current scorer grade.
Once again,
it really bide our time for those high
order complete. Well done.
high percentage goal scoring opportunities for the club. Do you think that's going to be a similar setup then? If we bring in someone like Kudus to try, is he more of a creator or more scorer in that sense?
I think it's an interesting point. I think the area that I'd be most interested to see him in is as a creator for other people. I certainly would like to think that he can be somewhat like Solanke a little bit more than we have done last season. But there's no reason whatsoever why we would stop. We've seen a great deal of time where really large rate attacks playing skipping bases, getting very, very quickly and trying to isolate a very good player against opposition and then get them scoring. There is absolutely no reason that if Kudus is the man that's going to have the time, there's no reason why he couldn't play a similar role because he can potentially move into a position and be a creative. But I think we're going to see him start on the 3, maybe in a 4-3-3 setup, and he's the creative for the people to be driving the outside and creating space for the fullbacks. On the left, no gap. He's also going to try and hit players back so that we can move midfielders into that half space that I've mentioned in other videos, where last the we want to get someone in that position just on the ball, so they can deliver really dangerous balls in. I think Kudus is the kind of player that hits your position back to he was labelled back into the space for someone still. I think you're going to see that Cougars will be a very interesting player in this room, and potentially is restarting having his first choice, particularly laying out the 4-3-3, which again I'm hedging my bets here on Thomas Frank and thinking he's going to play that. He then walks in the door and in the first couple of games you see it's evident he's going with a 5 or whatever, but I do think that if he plays out that 4-3-3, I do think Kunis is the player that will do more. He's also shown himself to be a willing runner. He will get back, he will press, he will counter press, he will do all the things that I think Thomas Frank is intending to do. So I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't be the commander, but I just wonder whether Brennan Johnson's role evolves and he becomes something else. We know that Thomas Frank was interested in Brennan Johnson and Brentford, and then I just wonder whether he's going to take big leaps and why not think space in front of him, trying to free him up that way and do, something like Boom's being asked to do on the cross the do. The other thing that I think is quite interesting between Kunis and Brennan Johnson is the two areas that Kunis really excels at. His stats and something like it. Mira is as a takeoff specialist, and will be one takeoff specialist. He really is the lead player at that in terms of the top 5 leagues. But he's also got really high stats in terms of his pass completion, which means he doesn't see possession a great deal. It means he's quite neat and tidy when he does on flight.
The U.S. retail sales were the great big wheel of the radio connection with the breaking hail as well. AAS contract makes sense. We look at these best sellers, great contracts. Investment to show practice.
Okay, and now that is super important. In that aspect, he's actually similar to Johnson. Isn't forget he doesn't give the ball away a great deal, but Johnson absolutely does not take his man, and that is what everybody's crying out for in terms of his improvement. He can do so. You can definitely see both of them being quite different and being utilised in different ways. And like I said, I just wonder whether Brennan Johnson's going to do slightly differently. And there's a small thought where Kunis plays off the left, because he's perfectly capable of playing off the left if he wants him to, and be a winger, a straight out winger, and then Johnson plays on the right, or Kunis plays on the left, and Johnson plays on the right, maybe playing off the back 5. So giving him this quality and one of the film strong is that.
This is key.
Now displaying your current quarter grade.
Screenshots up.
We appreciate everything.
Showing the squad and its depth. Two players in a position.
Order completed.
Spurs, you can get 4 or 5 injuries in position. So you need players.
Well done.
So effectively, two players in a position. But in reality, most of those players can cover at least 2 positions as well. So you've actually got 4 players in a position. This is kind of
Thanks to you.
But it's not standard for the centre back there, is it? Midfielder slash centre back kind of hybrid role, pushing up high when they need to chase the game.
I think it's very possible. I think, again, as much as we know that Andre was almost there, it was almost like as a Brentford player to be taken this up for his signature. So we know that they have been following him and they were planning to use him. And my assumption is that what they saw is a number 6 who might not be immediately ready to come in and dominate as a central defensive midfielder, but as qualities, he does have athleticism, he does have a good range of passing. So I just wondered whether they would deploy him dropping in, splitting the centre pass, dropping in to the middle of that, and then stitching the play together from almost like a deep quarterback role, but also moving to either side, whether it's the left centre back or right centre back side, and then looking for the red passes. So what we'll be looking for is that quite narrow midfield 3 to 5-4-2. We'll be looking for that midfield 3 to get out the passing lane, get out the pocket, and then allow that quarterback, allow that talented midfielder to pick passes through that kind of second, third phase to really move quickly. So it's either, banging it into the striker, drops into the midfield, and then play the midfielders off. It's read in, attacking, wing backs, play it on the wide forward. So I'll be very interested to see if Tom Frank does use Archie Gray in that way, and I certainly think he's got the skills to play it. What will be interesting is whether a season where he's had to do so much covering as a half under Postecoglou also stands Archie Gray in really good stead for the role he's playing and finds himself defending the back.
Derek Dyer. So this is Derek Dyer. Actually, Spurs. There, respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for Tottenham fans, the last time that we really saw it in that manner, midfield dropping in was under Pochettino. To great effect. We obviously had some really strong defensive midfielders with us under Pochettino, with players like Dembele and Young. But Eric Dyer, the thing that he had is he had a range of passing. Obviously strong in attack, was predominantly a defensive player, and she came to right back, but then in the front centre half. But we were going at times trying to empty out the midfield, really move, so we could allow fantastic backs to get on. One of the ways that we could have the solidity with he and the 10 playing in front was allowing Eric Dyer to put it, and he did have the passing to play through those channels in the midfield, and it was quite successful for us. I wouldn't say it was as effective in terms of the way that we used it, but it certainly gave us a platform to play from in some games, and we might see something similar under Tom Frank.
Just to finish off, what kind of games do you think we'll see Thomas Frank deploying 3 at the back as a coach? When do you
I think it's going to be quite nuanced. I think we should give Thomas Frank the credit that he deserves in terms of his tactical flexibility. He is a fantastic coach in terms of being able to put multiple systems, and he can even use them in the very same game. But certainly he doesn't long idea of the opposition and then set himself up to play in certain ways. I don't think it's going to be as simple as Man City are coming, playing back five, playing on promoted teams. I'm not sure it's going to be that hard. I do think we're going to see a little bit of shifting around the pitch and going into situations where backs will be into our five. So the idea of someone like Alex or someone like Archie Gray, any other player that's chosen to do it, dropping in any of the 3 centre midfielders with a view to drawing players on, opening passing lanes and then playing ways to whether that be quickly or whether it's going to identify the opposition a certain way, whether it's going to identify the opposition, their midfielders or one of their midfielders later on the wing. He's not around for this game, he gives an advantage. I actually think it's going to be different during games at certain times. We think Thomas Frank can do that, they can get that into his players, will be something very interesting to see. And then, my feeling is that he's largely going to go for that is because we've got available at the minute, systems that they've played before Thomas Frank arrives. I do think he'll use that as a springboard, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see us using a back line in a game where we've ostensibly solved it. million, and then the remaining 29.8% is basically trusts that are either in that leave his name or his family. He indicates he's based in Mars, so it's quite difficult to draw any information on that specifically. What we do know is that Enoch themselves then own about 86.91% of Thomas Benedict, which is the public company, with the remaining 13.09% owned by other minority shareholders, and we understand there's about 30,000 of those. Effectively, where danger is Lewis family only about 60.91% of Thomas. His family only about 25.97%, and with 30.98% or so owned by those minority shareholders. That structure, as you can see from the chart, it's quite complex. I think Chris will say it's quite complex with in the there's the two subsets on the square is and then in the sort of it's sort of those scenarios that mainly property companies are involved in terms of the stadium, it's a race, the stadium's a race, the training ground, so it's quite complex. It's not nearly typical those these other entities, but it's a lot fun and to sort of makes it a bit easier. It's a way of differentiating where hedge funds and so, you know, if you look at Liverpool's or Arsenal, say just as an example, they will have Liverpool property limited and Arsenal will have property limit. I think what's slightly odd on top is how many we've got is the you know, a number of them don't even reference Tottenham in the name of those entities.
You mentioned some of these are based on arms, right? It's information we need, so we won't get answers to all of them, but broadly speaking, Tottenham's information generation invented the internet, so there's nothing too obscure there, but as you said, some of these subsidiaries, that's for us today, we should try diving into some ultimately the main decision the Lewis family and the family, and is it as simple as the Lewis family having majority shares, a controlling stake, being able to effectively overrule any major decision on the fund setup?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, obviously, Lewis, since the whole insider trading stuff that's gone on, sort of stepped away a little bit from, you know, I think it's fair to assume that, you know, in terms of the major decisions about the running of the football club, and when I say major decisions, I mean, you know, are we going to inject any of our capital? I would say that that's a Lewis family decision in a sense. The shareholders has put Daniel Levy in place to actually be the sort of guardian of football, as it were, and the person who's sort of running the day-to-day operations.
And this is a big topic to discuss, but we'll talk about control, players, hotels, whatever it is, if we want to leverage on our cash rather than the Lewis family are associated well to do so. They're billionaires, I think, family are in category, which is still vastly well being business or well practice costs £10 million. Don't buy me to European to say, hey, you accelerate next to look at how to break up get maybe specifically.
Yeah, it's a fair assumption. I mean, and you touched on it there, you know, Levy, well, he's really wrapped up in something himself. Obviously, he's done well. He's ranked at high level for running Tottenham. I'm sure he's got other ventures he's made money, but, you know, in terms of being a millionaire, I think that will only come when he sells the own Tottenham, right? So, I think in terms of actual cash injected stuff, if Lewis family, when you'd expect that to come, Daniel includes doing things like lending, where you basically lend against paper wealth to inject some cash flow. That's very unlikely to happen, and so it certainly is the Lewis family you'd expect should be the ones that are funding that cash to inject.
So, the Lewis family modern state. We can put simplified terms in almost the same. Children, Luke's family trust fund, the multi-line ahead of Daniel Lever and it's never sunsets, even though I'm here, they're good decision makers on this graph here. So, into as well, question to figure out how someone like is measured, what his motivations for decisions making, like how Luke's family structured behind the same based on the outcomes of how he acts, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a couple of thoughts on that. I think the first one is probably, I think when Levy was very first put into post, I'm not sure they ever anticipated that it would get on this as big as it would and it would become such a full-time role for Levy. If you look at the way how Levy was remunerated when he first took over the club, he wasn't paid the salary directly by Tottenham. So the fee was paid by Tottenham to Enid, and then Enid paid the fees, and obviously over time that's changed. But, I think in terms of what would have been, Liam's mission, I suppose, when he was given the chair for Tottenham, I know it's but I think it was really to, take advantage of the massive growth that was coming in terms of the Premier League and that's an opportunity out of Tottenham, given where we were, they took over and prime position in London and these things. And if you look at the KPIs, the key things are very specifically in the only the Tottenham and strategic importance of the accounts. They mention financial objectives being revenue and profit from operations when you get large, we typically know it. And so I think those are the two things that I believe it will be judged on by Joe Lewis over his time. And I suppose in terms of, we're going to come on to valuation of Spurs later, those are two of the key sort of financial measures that are to use when you use sort of your business in Spurs, whether that's the instant investment return basically.
The best way to summarise it are, so we know the acronym, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortisation. But it's full profitability effectively. So what we're kind of summarising here is Levy would be, found to mention as well, even though it's very simply double check that. But like I say, it sounds like that's one of the key metrics that's likely to be done. That is important profitability, right? So when we look at him getting bonuses, pay rises, all these things, it marries up him performing very strongly against that metric. Spurs' financial results each year, our result was very strong. Because fans, a lot of this frustration can come from that doesn't necessarily translate to a hyper-aggressive approach to win trophies, to finish top of the table. Some would say there is correlation between money you get for winning things, increasing the size of the brand of Spurs, like winning stuff. But it's more complicated than that, right? It's also that you are big apple.
Feels good.
Yes. Oh, we're pretty good. Yeah. This local. 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 Spark. I don't know. Yeah, I'm the one.
Better players, being able to spend to maintain that position. So that's a whole discussing a separate episode. But effectively, Dublin is compensating gold on profitability. So that's where his priorities are going to probably lie from day to day. Not to say if there was a change, we'll discuss potential changes later, because there is a world in which technically Levy could be compensated on different priority for Tottenham, like other clubs are, right? And this is where we're going to move towards the idea of Spurs being sold, premium different types of sales, how that impact
discuss a lot of it in Spurs actually work. So we were discussing this before. There's a world in which genuinely is shared active Spurs, Lewis family, still there majority stake. And it could be someone who is willing to invest their own cash and say to Daniel Levy, you know, I need you to raise the profile of this club as much as you can over a 5-year period. Here's a lot to invest in the assets around the club to grow revenues, but also here's money for players and those other things. Is that fair, or do you want to kind of describe what that could potentially look like?
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, I think it's a really good point, Jim. I think, everything that we've got right now suggests that, given Levy's so heavily involved in eating himself, that the two are probably most likely to be intrinsically linked to us. So when we're looking for a flexible takeover, I think you would assume that, probably at the same time, right? So when the Lewis family go in terms of their ownership, the Levy needs to go as well. There've been dilution on both sides. Now that's not to say that whoever then takes over completely be involved for that amount of time, because it makes sense to do that. But certainly it's what I view as the most likely scenario. But that scenario you just described could also be the case. It could be the case that the Lewis family, Lewis is now in his 90s. His family maybe don't care about Tottenham, care about Tottenham even as he does, and then realise Leaving right enjoys the day-to-day and wants to continue so quickly. And I think if that happens, depending on what they do, it looks like they may have very different priorities. I think the priority probably for the football club, they are an investment trust, so their priority would be how do we maximise our return with being able to put in as little investment as possible to do so. If you look at how clubs investment over time, when it was close to Tottenham's earning growth trajectory, and it's not really that have gone, been hugely backwards to whatever states or whatever else, and become super successful on the pitch, and that's been their way of growing.
Can anybody hear me?
Obviously, as I mentioned, they don't necessarily put their own money in, but the infrastructure route to grow revenue, to grow profile. The other way of doing it is to put in a load of money and, try and win things, and you grow your fan base. That way you get more commercial income because sponsors are more interested in whatever.
Yeah, that's it's on other clubs you've got
You want to see these all?
Spurs with them.
Hey, check it out.
Check equity to speed this whole process up. It's appreciation.
Give that man a gold star.
You
broke through another barrier and are flying high. It's so awesome, man. You've totally earned this reward.
Bigger, significant less than what it is now. Because they were in millions. And their goal is to provide money over time.
We're increasing your material allocation a little bit more.
Now displaying your current order grade.
We've managed to unearth a sick hidden power for that golden mask of yours. Any BT crystals you use while wearing it will summon more powerful casters than they normally would. And as a bonus, we're giving you some data for that fucking dickhead who used to wear it. In case you want to give your structures that kind of flavor, We're pretty sure you haven't reached your full potential yet. Give it all you got and blow the fuck past your remaining limits.
The figurehead having to make those decisions. I think that's what we said. That's where there's a slight resemblance between the Levy and Ratcliffe kind of role, where you could kind of say the Glazers are kind of Joe Lewis doing completely different jobs in the sense of how they're performing, but the roles are loosely similar. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously to some extent, Levy is from that ENIC background as well, so he would have, I'm sure, similar views to Lewis, right, in terms of maximise return, and EBITDA will be important to him because it's sort of one of the KPIs of the group. And Zach will be on both sides, right, in terms of his sort of yearly play, but also he thinks about that a lot because his end goal is also to exit for a large amount of money against what the total ENIC investment has been. But yeah, I quite like that parallel. We've chatted about it. I find Jim Ratcliffe is sort of the one who's getting all the heat now, when actually he's making some pretty poor decisions, right, in terms of some of this stuff. And it's really contradictory when you're cutting bonus, and then on the other hand, just hiding in a raccoon, right? It doesn't look great, but actually, what the police is a nice man United is way worse, right? So, but then we're going to leave.
Yes contract for 47 cents or a no for 53. New accounts get $3.00 in trade forecast contracts. The best informed investors interact with brokers.
GoDaddy makes it fast and easy and user-friendly products and tools to help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Plus, get AI to help build your business for you. GoDaddy Aero Experience. Start for free at GoDaddy.com.
Deciding when to move stadium, all these things. So you pick and choose, in your opinion, which of the right decisions Spurs made without chairman. There's the countless decision making now. The interest of what you say. I think the thing to keep outside of country out of being outside it is even if it is so long. The people involved in the stuff.
Feel that speed! Well done, Sam. That's the last of the cargo. Let's head to our destination and make the delivery.
Conjecturing that there is that Carrington in particular, because you see the years decisions just killing in some spaces now just see
man, you got here late. Hey, you scared the shit out of
the entire club's shares the complete takeout.
So free
Share
again.
place. Share with no legacy.
Now displaying your current order grade.
Ooh, Sammy, it's getting later.
And here's the
kinds of-
valuations you come up with. Lots of time with 3 million, ranging from low from 2.6, but on average we're talking 3.2 billion across those. But there's an anomaly in that, and there's a 5 billion valuation, which I'm sure will be the one that the ENIC stakeholders will be probably the one to stick by, right? Can you tell us the differences between how you come up with these models?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, there's a lot of variables to this, right? And it's no easy job to sort of try and value football clubs, and particularly Big Six football clubs, where, you know, there is some stuff that the financial bits tell us, but then there's also the sort of overarching comment that, you know, investing in football clubs is a bit more exciting than investing in other stocks or whatever else, because it's, you know, for people it can be a bit of a plaything, and so, you know,
This cargo has
a bit of premium versus, you know, some other business types.
this cargo has been
Big Six
designated.
transactions, if we compare Big Six transactions when they happen, so I'm thinking, you know, Jim Ratcliffe buying into Chelsea. In the last transactions that happened in the last few years, there's normally a bigger premium to Big Six transactions than the rest of the thing, in terms of the market to productivity. So not only are those numbers typically higher, but a bigger but more so then typically higher because, you know, the view is that there's a Big Six or less than get relegated, obviously. Anomaly to that last section, so they, you know, there's sort of parallels almost NFL franchises. But, you know, there's concept of relegation, so because they always know they're going to be in that. Themselves when they made the recent capital injection in December 2024. Did they use the valuation for that purpose? Just one interesting things. Yeah, we start with revenue. So basically this is your tax on revenue of 528 billion, and then up by the average revenue for those Big Six transactions is up to around 2018, 26. So that gets us to, you know, just shy of 3.2 billion. On the EBITDA margin, because of that, again, is using the Big Six average transaction, which was 34.5. It's a lot of EBITDA. So you multiply 7 billion EBITDA, and that gets you to over 5 billion. So this is the one that's been rumored a little bit in the press as well. You know, people also talk about 3 to 3.5 billion, but I've seen the 5 billion number landed about. For me, I think this is super, super unlikely. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. The first one is, you know, the Jim Ratcliffe bought into United for, that was probably about 4.5 billion. That was value like that. There's no chance we're worth more than United, given the low enough stake. You know, I don't think that will happen. And, you know, we've got an exceptionally high EBITDA, as we were talking about earlier.
So, they get to a point where there's this inflection point where you'd expect a lot more because we like there's other considerations why you top. So you expect slightly lower side, higher price of sweets, kind of like I need to go on 25 right on 30 itself a bit reasonable, and that gets you to sort of just shy of 3.7 million, and then those external sources, so from the benchmark places at 3.1, and then Forbes and sort of currently lower there, sort of in that there's 3 billion, 2.5 billion range, but I mean, all three of those sort of benchmark Sportsco are probably using a similar-ish methodology to revenue and EBITDA, but they're obviously discount them. And then finally, so as I say, when they injected capital in December 2024, they put in 35 million. Basically, we can sort of work backwards to have a look at the additional shares they created, what price they created those additional shares at, to get to a sort of equity value of 20 million. And then you have the net debt, so that equity value gets to 2 billion as an enterprise value, which is what those other valuations are. So, yeah, I think it's quite interesting because that's basically saying that, when in injecting capital, and essentially what they do, just so listeners are aware, basically, is they create extra shares, and then they take a large portion of those extra shares to get to a equity service subscription. They think they are diluting the shareholders, so they're zero benefit to the shareholders, but the overall pie does get bigger as well. So the minority shareholders then have a sort of lower percentage, but of a bigger pie.
I see. So it's quite clever. So they would see it so they gain products themselves. They're giving out potential and they can pay minority shareholders. Probably more bothered as they're in it to make decisions necessarily anyway. Is that right?
Yeah, although effectively what they're doing though is they're buying that sort of extra little bit of value out of the price that they set when they do this capital injection. So that's the interesting nuance part of it. So, they're not diluting them completely as a sort of increase on the sale. But what they are doing is they're basically saying, look, we're going to give you a bit of extra money there, so it's 2.2 valuation, which differs a little bit to what we anticipated actually going on. It's going to be 3 to 3.5 million now. Because obviously when it's do is they are just this valuation they're on what's what we're involved in it, and there's the verification, and one argue the reason why that number is lower than the 3 to 3.5 million that I anticipated would actually be worth is because when they're doing that, you're not talking about takeover, for example, that they're pre-running associated with being fully taken over compared to just injecting a little bit of extra share capital. And there is
That is interesting. So, dreams are giving shareholders money to keep them at peace. Investors today, valuation rate, that makes it difficult to explain to it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's been on it. It's
time is such.
Opportunity in the future, I think, for the right type bonus. So yeah, I think they would be able to find. What I suspect there's maybe some debate around is, to our earlier point, what that investment looks like. So typically, when you look at the way the clubs are bought, and there's a lot of examples other than Chelsea where it was sort of forced because of Abramovich, where they want to dip their toe in the water before they do a full takeover, right? So they want to invest a little bit, and then who wants to write a check for 3.5 billion straight away? I get there, but so what does my idea?
It's a good dick. Do you know why it's a good diction? Not in vagina. It says something about like male dominance back in the whole Latin days.
To this situation, that might be it's been super interesting. If you get suggestions on topics on that side, just future, please suggest them and check them out. Leading events 1882. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us and
Yeah, the ice is difficult because it's ice, but once you set up the zip line, it's not that fast. But it's also the things
Flattered.
under the snowy line also quite.
Thank you so very.
Order completed. Well done.
Like that. No.
This kid, an IPAC has
Okay. I have no problem. You discovered a missing article.
What?
Sam, on this occasion, we'd like to communicate our deepest appreciation for your contributions. This is how we wish to thank you. You'll find your materials allocation has been further increased. Our way of improving your ability to execute your plans.
Now displaying your current porter grade.
Our latest APAS enhancement, the super electromagnetic plasma. When paired with electrical weapons that deal area damage, it significantly increases their area of effect. It has tremendous memory demands, but is nevertheless an excellent choice when dealing with large groups of enemies. One might go so far as to liken it to unlocking a cheat mode in a video game. We've made remarkable progress in the research we've conducted with APAS. It's no exaggeration to say that this technology has limitless potential. But you may rest assured that we have not abandoned development of our Plan B. Know that we'll always be happy to receive you should you visit. You may be the most fascinating person we've met. We wish you the very best. Take care, Sam.
Order completed. Well done.